What if? What if the feeling of looking forward isn't just a passive thing? Like a nice emotion that just pops up now and then.
Right, not just something pleasant that happens.
Yeah, exactly. What if it's actually more like a profound, powerful force? Something you can actively, cultivate yourself.
Something you build.
Yeah.
Rather than just wait for.
Yes. Less about just sort of wishing for good things and much more about deliberately, shaping your future.
Actively creating it.
Could doing that, really harnessing that force, could it actually fundamentally reshape things like your health, your mind?
Your ability to navigate tough times. Maybe even thrive because of them.
Thrive, yeah, that's the word, especially when things are difficult. Is that really possible?
Well, that's what we're going to explore today.
Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're plunging into a whole stack of sources. We've got articles, research papers, some personal reflections, even philosophical takes.
A real mix.
And they all seem to point towards this incredible power, the power of looking forward, and specifically, how you can actively cultivate hope for your future.
Yeah, we've pulled insights from, all over. Psychology, neuroscience is in there, definitely some philosophy, and also some really practical, real-world guidance.
It's not just, motivational fluff, is it?
Not at all.
Yeah.
It seems really rooted in understanding how we work as humans.
Yeah.
Our brains, our behavior, what contributes to genuine long-term well-being.
Absolutely. So our mission for this deep dive is, first, to unpack what looking forward and hope really mean.
You're beyond the surface level.
Right. And slice through some confusion. We need to clearly distinguish hope from just, simple optimism. They're not the same thing.
That's a crucial distinction, yeah.
Then we'll get into this surprising science behind why hope is so good for you, your physical health, your mental health. The benefits are pretty remarkable.
They really are. Tangible effects.
And most importantly, we want to give you practical, really actionable ways you can start cultivating this, potent force in your own life. Like starting today.
Things you can actually do.
Exactly. So get ready for maybe some aha moments, some insights that might just change how you view your own future.
Sounds good. Where should we begin?
Let's start by understanding the terrain, sort of how we orient ourselves in time. We naturally look back, right? And we look forward.
Past and future.
And our sources suggest that finding a balance here between looking back and looking forward is actually fundamental. It's like the bedrock for cultivating that future hope.
That makes sense. You can't really know where you're going if you don't understand where you've been.
Right. You hear a lot of advice like, don't dwell on the past, just focus on the future.
Yeah.
And yeah, avoiding getting second regret is important, obviously.
Sure, you don't want to wallow.
But one of our sources, this article talking about the benefits of looking back and forward, really highlighted something. Reflecting on the past, when you do it consciously, with purpose, it's incredibly valuable.
It really is. It's not just nostalgia or, like you said, wallowing. Looking back with intention is about gaining clarity.
Clarity how?
Well, the past holds so many lessons, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Think about the decisions you've made. Which ones worked out well? Which ones? Not so much.
Okay, so learning from experience.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Understanding that history gives you actual wisdom you can apply right now to decisions you're facing today, and definitely to decisions about where you want to go next.
It's kind of like reviewing game film after a match, learning from the plays.
That's a great analogy.
Right.
Yes. But it goes even deeper than just strategy. Looking back also gives you the space to maybe unearth old hurts, unresolved stuff.
The difficult bits.
Yeah, the difficult bits. And it's hard, maybe impossible sometimes, to build a really solid future if you're still carrying around these unhealed wounds from the past.
So you need to address that first.
You need to give yourself space to process those experiences, understand them. That's actually part of building a strong foundation in the present, paradoxically.
It sounds like emotional archaeology, digging up the buried things, not to dwell, but to understand them, maybe let them go or integrate them somehow.
Precisely. Integrate is a good word. And it also offers just incredible insight into your own personality, right?
How so?
Well, what patterns do you see when you look back? How did you react in different situations? What do your past choices reveal about your actual strengths? And your weaknesses too, let's be honest.
Okay, seeing yourself more clearly.
Yes. And crucially, it helps you discover, or maybe rediscover, what you're truly passionate about. Think about those times in the past when you felt most alive, most engaged, those peak moments.
Those moments often point directly towards what genuinely matters to you, and that gives you vital clues, real direction for what you should be pursuing looking forward. That makes so much sense. I remember reading in that source about the author initially resisting looking back. They just wanted to charge ahead with new ideas.
Very common feeling. Just focus forward.
But they found that going through that process, understanding their own history, who they were, it gave them this unexpected strength and clarity. That was actually essential for moving forward effectively.
That foundational work is just vital. It's about connecting the dots of your life experiences, seeing the themes, the connections,
The narrative.
and starting to understand the unique story, the narrative you've been creating all along. That builds a really robust sense of self.
Yeah.
And you need that grounding before you can confidently launch yourself into shaping the future.
So the absolute key is looking back with purpose. Not just drifting through memories, but actively learning, maybe healing, definitely gaining clarity, and strengthening who you are.
Exactly the point. One commenter on that source put it perfectly. Don't just look back with purpose. The aim is a healthy balance.
And that balance might shift.
Of course. The emphasis might change depending on the season of life you're in. Sometimes you really need more time to process the past. Other times, you're full steam ahead, building the future.
But both are needed.
Both perspectives are essential threads in the tapestry. You need both to weave a richer, better life story overall.
Okay, that's a really helpful framing. So with that foundation laid, understanding the value of looking back purposefully, let's pivot. What are the specific powers, the benefits of deliberately looking forward with vision?
Right. This is where the energy really starts building. Having a vision for the future, something you're aiming for, it pulls you forward. It actively combats complacency.
How so?
Well, if you don't have a reasonably clear picture of where you're headed, it's just so easy to get comfortable right where you are, even if comfortable isn't really serving you or challenging you to grow anymore.
It gives you a reason to push beyond the status quo, a destination, a target.
Exactly, it gives you a destination. And having that destination transforms vague potential into tangible hope, something concrete you can actually work towards.
So it's not just floating along anymore.
No, instead of feeling like, a leaf just being blown about by whatever circumstances come along, you have a direction, something specific you are actively moving towards. It really embodies that principle of beginning with the end in mind.
Stephen Covey's idea.
Right. Define where you ultimately want to be, and that helps you figure out the steps you need to take now to get there.
Which naturally leads straight into goal setting, doesn't it?
Precisely. Vision fuels goals. It's about defining those goals, maybe big ones, maybe small ones, and then actively engaging in the process, the work of moving towards them.
Makes sense.
And here's a benefit that might be a little surprising. Our sources suggest that looking forward with vision often encourages us to look outside ourselves too.
Oh, how does that work?
When you start envisioning a better future for yourself, you often begin to see how your own aspirations are connected to the well-being of others. Or you see opportunities where you could contribute to a better future for your community, maybe even the wider world.
So personal vision can broaden.
It can foster this genuine desire to help, to serve, to contribute something beyond just your own immediate needs. It connects your personal journey to something larger.
That's a really beautiful connection. Your own hope fuels hope for others, in a way. Okay, let's zoom in on this word we keep using, hope. What is it, really? Is it just, wishing something good happens and thinking, yeah, that might be possible?
That's definitely the common everyday understanding, isn't it? And it's a starting point. You desire an outcome, and you believe it's at least possible. But as one of our philosophical sources, a 1,000-word philosophy, points out quite effectively, that definition just isn't enough. It falls short.
Why isn't it sufficient? What's missing?
Well, think about the classic example they often use. Imagine a prisoner who's on death row.
Okay.
They might desperately, profoundly desire a pardon, right? And they certainly know that technically a pardon is physically and legally possible. Someone could grant it.
Sure, it happened.
Yet that prisoner can still feel completely, utterly hopeless that it will ever actually happen to them. The desire is intense. The belief in abstract possibility is there. But hope, it's absent.
Okay, I see. So just knowing something could happen isn't the same as having hope that it will happen or that you can influence it. There has to be something more.
Right. There's a missing ingredient. And philosophers have spent a lot of time grappling with what that something more actually is.
What are some of the ideas?
Well, some thinkers, like Neil Bovens, suggest it requires actively engaging in positive conscious thoughts about it, mentally imaging the desired outcome, essentially fantasizing about it in a focused way.
So visualizing the good outcome.
Kind of. Others, like Adrienne Martin, have a different take. She argues it's more about incorporating that desire into your actual plans and believing you have valid reasons to act in ways that might bring it about.
Okay, so back to the prisoner example. That would be like them actively working with their lawyer, right? Gathering new evidence, pursuing appeals.
Exactly. That would fit Martin's incorporation analysis. You're not just passively wishing, you're weaving the hope into your actions, your strategies, based on that hope.
Making it part of the plan.
Yes, but wait, it gets even more nuanced.
Of course it does. Philosophy.
Right. Philosophers like Mariana Malone and Catherine Stockdale propose it might be something different again. Maybe more like a perceptual experience.
Perceptual experience, like seeing something.
Sort of. Like you simply perceive reasons to pursue the outcome, or you see the possibility as compelling, even if, on a purely logical level, you might judge that hope as, well, maybe irrational or a long shot.
Okay, so it's almost like hope is a lens, a way of seeing the world that highlights potential paths or reasons to keep pushing forward, even when your rational brain is saying, the odds aren't great.
That's a really good way to put it. It's less about calculating probabilities and more about how you feel drawn towards a possibility, how you perceive the potential.
Interesting. So despite the different angles.
Despite the different nuances, yeah, the key consensus seems to be this. While desire and belief in possibility are necessary ingredients, hope always involves something more. Something that actively propels you forward, or at least primes you, makes you ready to see and act on potential paths towards that desired future.
It's an active stance, not just waiting passively.
Absolutely. It's fundamentally active. And that distinction is absolutely critical when we compare hope to something it often gets confused with: optimism.
Ah, yes. Optimism versus hope. Our sources really emphasize getting this difference right, don't they?
They really do. Sources like Equinox and Highland Hospital point out that using them interchangeably really dilutes the unique power of hope. It matters.
So let's define optimism clearly first. What is it, according to these sources?
Optimism is generally seen as more of a disposition, an inclination. It's the tendency to put a favorable spin on events, to anticipate the best possible outcome in a general sense.
Like a general belief things will turn out okay.
Yeah, often described as a positive thought pattern, sort of background belief that overall the universe tends towards things working out all right. It's a general outlook.
Okay, a rosy view, maybe. How does hope differ then?
Hope, on the other hand, is defined much more specifically. It's a desire that's accompanied by an expectation, or at least a belief, in fulfillment through action.
Through action. There it is again.
It's central. Hope means actively cherishing a specific desire, wanting something particular to happen, and crucially, believing that you can actually impact what happens, that you can do something to bring it about in a good way.
So it's tied to personal agency.
Very strongly. Hope focuses on your expectations about your personal attainment of specific goals. It requires setting those goals and then actively pursuing them, following through.
It involves work.
It involves work, personal agency, that belief in your ability to influence the outcome, and also visualizing progress, but without necessarily distorting reality or ignoring the challenges. You see the path, obstacles and all, but believe you can navigate it.
Okay, let me see if I've got this. Optimism is sort of like, I generally think things will probably get better for everyone eventually. Is that fair?
Broadly, yes. A general positive expectation.
And hope is more like, I really want this specific thing to happen, and I believe I can take these specific steps to help make it happen, even though it might be hard.
You've absolutely nailed the core difference. Optimism is a stance towards the world in general. Hope is a stance towards your specific goals and your perceived ability to achieve them.
And that difference is why hope is considered more potent, more powerful.
Exactly. Research consistently shows that hope is a much stronger predictor of tangible success and well-being than general optimism is.
Really? More powerful in what ways?
Well, it's clearly linked to better health outcomes, greater success in academics, higher performance in the workplace, and just increased overall well-being and life satisfaction.
Why? What gives hope that extra punch?
It seems to come from its dual nature. Hope, particularly as defined in psychology by researchers like C.R. Snyder, encompasses both willpower, which is the motivation, the drive, the energy to pursue a goal, and way power.
Way power?
Way power. That's the perceived ability to actually figure out the paths, the strategies, the specific steps needed to reach that goal. It's not just wanting it, it's seeing how you might get there.
Ah, so it's the wanting it plus the seeing the path.
Exactly. It's that powerful combination. Wanting it, willpower, believing you can influence it, agency, and seeing potential ways to get there, way power.
Yeah.
That combo is what makes hope such an incredible engine for positive change in our lives.
Wow. Okay, so hope isn't just some vague, nice-to-have feeling. It's really an essential skill, an active state of desire, belief, agency, and crucially, action towards specific personal goals.
You got it. And understanding that fundamental difference, that active component, is the absolute key if you want to deliberately cultivate more of it in your life.
All right, that's a much clearer, more robust understanding of hope. With that definition firmly in mind, let's dive into the really fascinating science. How does this active, goal-oriented force actually impact our brains and our bodies?
Welcome back to the deep dive. So we've established hope isn't just optimism. It's active, it's goal-directed, it involves willpower and way power. Now let's get into the science, because the impact of hope on our actual physical and mental landscape is pretty remarkable.
Okay, I'm ready. Where do we even start with the science of hope?
Let's start right inside the brain, with the chemistry. Our sources really highlight that cultivating hope isn't just, a psychological adjustment. It has real neurochemical consequences.
Meaning it changes our brain chemistry.
Yes. When you consciously engage in hopeful thinking, looking towards those goals, planning those pathways, you trigger the release of several beneficial compounds in your brain.
Like what kind of compounds?
Well, for starters, endorphins. We often hear about those in relation to exercise, right? They're sometimes called the body's natural painkillers or feel-good chemicals.
Right, the runner's high effect.
Exactly. Hopeful thinking can also stimulate endorphin release, which helps lower stress levels, increases feelings of well-being, and some research even links it to increased productivity.
Interesting. What else?
Dopamine. This one's huge. Dopamine is fundamentally linked to motivation and the brain's reward system.
Ah, the go-get-it chemical.
Precisely. It's crucial for feeling motivated to pursue goals, for maintaining focus on the task at hand, and for experiencing that sense of pleasure or satisfaction when you make progress or achieve something. Hope basically fuels this entire dopamine cycle.
So hope keeps you motivated at a chemical level.
It really does. And then there's serotonin, another major player. Serotonin is key for regulating mood, but also sleep, appetite, and other important functions. A consistently hopeful outlook seems to support more balanced serotonin levels, contributing to emotional stability.
So it's not just in our heads subjectively feeling better. Our brains are literally responding chemically when we're hopeful.
That's exactly it. And what's more, over time, consistently practicing hopeful thinking can actually strengthen these specific neural pathways. It becomes easier, more automatic, to default to a more positive, motivated problem-solving state rather than getting stuck in worry or negativity.
Wow, you can actually rewire your brain towards hope.
To a significant extent, yes. And connected to this is the fascinating concept of mental rehearsal, which is strongly linked to hope, and the visualization techniques we'll discuss later.
Mental rehearsal, like practicing something in your mind.
Exactly. When you vividly imagine a desired future outcome, maybe achieving a goal you're hoping for, or successfully navigating a challenge, you anticipate your brain's neural pathways activate in a way that's surprisingly similar to how they'd activate if you were actually doing it.
Really? Just thinking about it does that.
If the visualization is vivid and engaging enough, yes. It's not just idle daydreaming. It's essentially a form of practice. You're building familiarity, confidence, and reinforcing those neural pathways before you even take the physical action.
That's incredible. It's like priming your brain for success.
It absolutely is. It makes the desired actions feel less daunting, less foreign, and more achievable because, in a way, your brain has already experienced success.
Okay, that's powerful. What else happens in the brain?
Furthermore, our sources point out that engaging in hopeful, forward-focused thinking tends to activate the prefrontal cortex. This is the more evolved part of your brain, responsible for executive functions, complex decision-making, planning, impulse control, problem-solving.
The brain's CEO, basically.
Good analogy. By directing your mental energy towards these higher-level functions, towards planning and strategizing how to reach your goals, you simultaneously tend to calm down activity in the amygdala.
The amygdala. That's the fear center, right?
Exactly. The brain's alarm system, responsible for triggering fear, anxiety, and the stress response. So hope essentially shifts energy away from the fear circuits and towards the planning and problem-solving circuits.
Ah, so instead of just reacting with fear, you start thinking about solutions.
Precisely. Instead of getting caught in that loop of, oh no, what if this goes wrong? Your brain is encouraged to think, okay, what are the potential steps here? How can I figure this out? What resources do I have? This cognitive shift is a fundamental mechanism behind hope's powerful stress-reducing effects.
And those stress-reducing effects must have knock-on benefits for physical health, right?
Absolutely huge benefits. We know that chronic stress, often fueled by persistent worry, anxiety, and lack of hope, floods the body with stress hormones, particularly cortisol,
Cortisol gets a bad rap.
for good reason, when it's chronically elevated. Short bursts are fine, even necessary. But high levels of cortisol over long periods are really detrimental. It can suppress the immune system, increase blood pressure, mess with your sleep, impair cognitive function, contribute to weight gain. The list goes on.
So people who cultivate hope experience less of that damaging chronic stress.
Generally, yes, because they tend to perceive challenges differently, more as manageable obstacles or things to be figured out. Rather than overwhelming, insurmountable threats, they're less likely to trigger that intense, prolonged stress response. And when they do experience stress, they tend to recover from it more quickly.
Okay, so lower overall exposure to harmful stress hormones.
Exactly, which leads to a whole cascade of positive physical effects. Lower stress is directly linked to healthier bodies overall.
Makes sense. What about specific areas like heart health?
Yes, hope is linked to healthier hearts. Part of this is the stress reduction, but it's also behavioral. People who have strong hope for the future, who have goals they're actively working towards, are simply more motivated to engage in healthy behaviors to support that future.
Like exercise and eating well.
Right. They're more likely to exercise regularly, eat nutritious foods, prioritize sleep, avoid smoking or excessive drinking. When you have something meaningful you're aiming for, you have a powerful intrinsic incentive to maintain the physical health you'll need to get there and enjoy it.
It becomes an investment in achieving that hoped-for future self.
It's a perfect way to put it. It's an investment. And you mentioned the immune system earlier. The link there is also significant.
How does hope affect immunity?
Research, including studies referenced in our sources like the ongoing work at places like Johns Hopkins looking at the power of positivity, consistently suggests that a hopeful, positive mindset can actually strengthen immune function.
Really? Wow.
The mechanisms are complex and still being fully mapped out, but they likely involve reduced stress hormones, potentially altered inflammation levels, and maybe even direct signaling pathways between the brain and immune cells. The outcome seems to be greater resilience against illness.
So potentially fewer colds, faster recovery if you do get sick.
That's what the evidence suggests, a more robust immune response overall. So yeah, hope isn't just a nice feeling in your head. It's literally influencing your body's ability to function well and stay healthy.
Wow. The mind-body connection is just undeniable here. Hope is a prime example.
It truly is.
Yeah.
Now, it makes sense to broaden this slightly and connect hope with another really key theme that emerged from our sources: purpose.
Right, purpose. It's not just something nice to have either, is it? It actually does things for us.
Exactly. Purpose is identified in the research as a powerful predictive variable for both physical and mental health outcomes. It's not just a vague goal. It's defined more as a central organizing aim in your life, something that influences your actions, your thoughts, and your emotions on a really fundamental level.
A guiding star, almost. How does having that central aim help us, especially when things get difficult? Because hope and purpose seem really linked to navigating challenges.
They are deeply linked. Having a clear purpose provides, for one thing, greater efficiency in how you allocate your resources, your time, your energy, your attention.
You know what matters most?
Right. You're better able to prioritize things that align with that central purpose and let go of things that don't. This increased focus naturally leads to greater persistence when you face difficult tasks, because those tasks feel meaningful. They feel connected to something bigger than just the immediate struggle.
So you're more willing to push through the hard stuff because it serves your larger purpose.
Exactly. It essentially provides you with a kind of surplus of internal resources. Think emotional energy, focus, determination that acts as a powerful buffer against threats and difficulties. Purpose significantly cushions the blow of stress.
How does it buffer stress?
Unpredictable events, uncontrollable situations, things that can be incredibly stressful for someone without a clear framework, tend to feel less overwhelming when you view them through the lens of your central purpose. Your purpose gives you a reason to endure, yes, but also a perspective from which to interpret the challenge. It's not just random suffering. It's an obstacle on your chosen path.
I remember the example mentioned about family caregivers under chronic stress.
Yes, that's a powerful illustration from the psychology literature. Caregivers often face intense, prolonged stress, frequently feeling a lack of control over very difficult circumstances. This chronic stress can demonstrably lead to negative health outcomes like diminished immune responses.
But purpose can change that.
The implication from the research is that while the external stressor is very real, having a strong sense of purpose, perhaps defining their role as fulfilling a vital family commitment, expressing deep love, or living out a core value can provide a layer of meaning and resilience. This sense of purpose can help mitigate some of those negative physical and psychological effects. It provides a framework for understanding the difficulty and finding strength within it, even amidst the hardship.
And this connects directly to resilience, doesn't it? That ability to bounce back.
Absolutely. Purpose is increasingly seen as a potential key explanatory variable for why some people demonstrate remarkable resilience after trauma or major adversity.
How does it explain resilience?
Well, when a traumatic event happens, it can shatter your fundamental understanding of the world, your assumptions about safety or fairness. Having a pre-existing, deeply held purpose provides a crucial framework, an anchor point for reconstructing that understanding and finding meaning again. It acts like a stable core that helps you regain your balance more quickly.
It guides you in the rebuilding process.
It really does. Purpose, by its nature, often mandates flexibility. It encourages you to adapt your strategies and find new ways to keep moving toward your overarching aim, even when circumstances change drastically. And it offers that vital context for understanding your own stress responses, not just as purely negative experiences, but as challenges to be navigated on your purposeful path.
It helps make sense of the struggle.
Yes, and interestingly, purpose is strongly linked in research, like work by George Bonanno, to the flexible use of different coping strategies, knowing when to confront a problem head-on, when to seek support, when to accept what you can't change, and when to find positive meaning. Purposeful people seem better equipped to choose the right tool for the job, emotionally speaking.
That's fascinating. Okay, what about the flip side? What happens if someone feels they should have a purpose, they're maybe capable of forming one, but they just don't have one? They feel aimless?
That's where our sources suggest some significant problems can arise. It seems that individuals who have the cognitive capacity to identify and pursue a purpose, but feel a profound lack of one, may actually suffer more intensely than people who, perhaps, have never really considered the idea of purposeful living.
Why would that be?
It's like the potential for meaning is there, the awareness of its possibility exists, but the absence of a guiding purpose leaves a painful void. This lack can manifest in increased rates of depression, chronic feelings of emptiness or meaninglessness, and tragically, it's been linked to higher rates of suicide, particularly among older adults who may have lost previous roles or purposes.
Wow. That really underscores how vital it is not just to hope for things, but to actively cultivate a sense of purpose that gives those hopes direction and meaning. Okay, let's bring it back specifically to hope now. How does hope function in the context of mental health recovery?
Hope is absolutely foundational. You could argue it's the cornerstone of mental health recovery. Think about it. Recovery is almost always a journey that requires significant, sustained effort.
Therapy, medication maybe, building coping skills.
Lifestyle changes, challenging old patterns.
Yep.
It's hard work. Hope provides the essential motivation, the fuel, to actually do that work. It's the core belief that your efforts will make a difference, that they will eventually lead to an improved quality of life.
Without that belief, why bother putting in the effort?
Exactly. Without that flicker of hope, that belief in a better future state, sustaining the often difficult and sometimes slow process of recovery is incredibly challenging. Hope is the engine.
It's the fuel for the journey, as you said.
It is. And importantly, the sources stress being hopeful and realistic. This isn't about expecting overnight miracles. Recovery often isn't linear. There are ups and downs.
Setbacks happen?
Right. So expectations need to be proportional to what's realistically possible at any given moment. Setting wildly unrealistic goals can lead to crushing disappointment and actually extinguish hope.
So start small.
That's why setting small, measurable, attainable goals is so incredibly crucial, especially early on in recovery. Each small success builds momentum. It provides concrete, undeniable evidence that progress is possible, which directly feeds and strengthens hope for bigger changes down the line.
That mantra you mentioned earlier from Highland Hospital seems really relevant here. Just because it isn't happening today does not mean it will never happen.
A profoundly important reminder, especially during the tough stretches. Patience and persistence, fueled by realistic hope.
And hope links to specific mental health conditions, too.
Definitely. The presence of hope is consistently associated with reduced symptoms of anxiety, partly because visualizing a better future, as we discussed, can calm the nervous system. And conversely, hopelessness is recognized by clinicians as a core component of major depression and is one of the strongest predictors of suicidal ideation. Its absence is dangerous. Its presence is protective and motivating.
And purpose plays a role here too, right? By countering behaviors that undermine well-being.
Exactly. Having a clear sense of purpose inherently acts against many self-destructive patterns. Things like substance abuse, severe anxiety disorders, eating disorders often run counter to the idea of sustaining yourself, caring for yourself in service of a meaningful long-term aim. Purpose provides a why that can help resist those impulses.
And the recovery environment matters for hope.
Immensely. The sources emphasize the importance of a holistic approach. Hope doesn't exist in a vacuum. Recovery support needs to address needs beyond just the clinical diagnosis, things like safe and stable housing, supportive relationships, meaningful daily activities which connects back to purpose, and basic physical health. Hope thrives when these fundamental needs are met.
Community is key.
Community is huge, and specifically, connecting with peer role models, people who have successfully navigated similar mental health challenges, can be incredibly powerful for instilling and sustaining hope. Seeing someone else who's been there and made it through provides tangible proof that recovery is possible.
Living proof.
Exactly. Living proof that fuels hope. So, yeah, hope and purpose aren't just abstract ideals. They are potent forces with real measurable impacts on our brain chemistry, our physical health, our resilience, and our mental well-being. It's truly powerful stuff.
It really is. And the most empowering part of all this, I think, is the idea that this isn't just something you're either born with or not. It's something you can actively choose, cultivate, and strengthen over time.
Absolutely. It's a skill, a capacity you can build.
Which leads us perfectly into our final section, the practical, actionable strategies. How can you, listening right now, start building this potent force of hope in your own life?
Welcome back to the deep dive. Okay, we've journeyed through the what's and the why of hope, defining it, distinguishing it from optimism, exploring the science, its connection to purpose and resilience. Now we land on the most important part. The how. How do you actually do this? How do you cultivate hope and build that future self?
Right, the practical application. Where do we start? What's the first step?
Well, the first crucial understanding, weaving through all our sources, is that hope isn't just a passive feeling that descends upon you like good weather. It is fundamentally a choice.
A choice. You mean you just decide to be hopeful?
It starts with a choice, yes. But crucially, it's a choice that must be followed by action. Hope is built day by day through your intentional actions where you place your focus and the practices you engage in.
So it's actively constructed.
It really is. As one writer, Francois Matarasso, put it beautifully, hope provides the reason and the energy to keep working towards a better future. Even when things feel overwhelming, personal crises, global issues like war or climate change, hope doesn't magically sweep the problems away.
If only.
Right. But it strengthens the people, the individuals, who are dedicated to finding and implementing solutions. It fuels the effort.
Okay, so it's not about ignoring the bad stuff. It's about choosing to act despite it, fueled by a belief in a better possibility.
Precisely. This connects to the idea of constructive hope that came up in the Cambridge Psychology Group source. Constructive hope is rooted in acknowledging the difficult reality of a situation, seeing it clearly, not denying it, but simultaneously holding a firm belief in your own agency, your ability to act, and perhaps the collective ability to devise solutions.
And how is that different from other kinds of hope?
It's contrasted with a hope based on denial or wishful thinking. That kind of hope, ironically, often leads to less action because you're not actually facing the problem you need to solve. Constructive hope, because it's grounded in reality and belief in agency, allows you to move forward with conviction. Not naive optimism, but a grounded, practical belief in the possibility of making a positive difference.
Okay, so the foundation is choosing that active, constructive stance. Got it. What are some specific practical tools we can use to start building this action-oriented hope? The sources talked a lot about visualization.
Yes. Visualization comes up again and again as an incredibly powerful, accessible skill for activating this force. One source focusing specifically on future self-visualization makes a really key distinction. It emphasizes focusing not just on what external goals you want to achieve.
Like getting a promotion or running a marathon.
Right. But focusing more deeply on who you want to become in the process of achieving those things. What kind of person embodies those achievements?
Why is focusing on who more powerful than what?
Because focusing on identity, on the person you are becoming, taps into a much deeper level of emotional drive. We are fundamentally motivated to act in ways consistent with our perceived identity. When you link your daily efforts to embodying your desired future self, the necessary steps often feel less like tedious chores and more like natural expressions of who you are becoming.
So doing the work feels like aligning with your future identity.
Exactly. Your brain seeks that congruence. Aligning your present actions with your future self activates those dopamine reward pathways we talked about earlier, making the process itself feel more rewarding and sustainable.
Okay, that's a powerful reframe. So what are some specific techniques for this future self visualization? The sources mentioned several.
Yes, there are quite a few methods outlined, and the best advice is probably to experiment. Try different ones, see what resonates most strongly with you, maybe even combine elements. The most critical factor isn't finding the one perfect technique, it's consistency. Regularly engaging with some form of future self-visualization is key.
Okay, let's explore a few. What's one powerful method?
One that's often recommended is the success scenario. This is basically about creating a detailed mental movie, but it's not just about the achievement, it's about visualizing yourself in that movie, the person you become who is capable of achieving those things.
How do you do it?
You pick a specific, meaningful goal. Close your eyes, get comfortable, and imagine vividly experiencing the moment of achieving it. But don't just see it like you're watching a film. Step into the scene. Engage all your senses. What do you see around you? What sounds are there? What textures can you feel? What does it feel like emotionally? The pride, the joy, the relief, the satisfaction. Really embody that future self experiencing success.
So make it multisensory and emotional.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And crucially, don't just visualize the perfect endpoint. Also visualize yourself as that capable future self, successfully overcoming challenges and obstacles along the way. How did your future self handle setbacks? What inner resources did they draw upon?
So you see the journey, the struggles overcome, not just the trophy at the end.
Precisely. It builds confidence in your ability to handle the whole process. And you can create these scenarios for different areas of your life. Picture your future self thriving in your relationships, feeling strong and healthy in your body, making a meaningful contribution at work, enjoying hobbies. Writing down the details of your scenario after you visualize can also help solidify it in your mind.
Okay, success scenario. What's another approach?
Another really interesting one is the letter from your future self. This exercise completely flips the perspective. You imagine you are your ideal future self maybe 5, 10, even 20 years from now. And from that vantage point, you write a detailed, encouraging letter back to your present self.
Wow, like getting advice and perspective from your wisest, most accomplished self.
Exactly like that. In this letter, your future self describes what life is like now, what important goals have been accomplished. What does a typical day look like? What challenges were overcome and how did they do it? What new skills were learned? How has their perspective on life shifted? What are their key relationships like? How does their physical health feel? What personal growth has occurred?
That sounds incredibly insightful.
It can be. The future self can also express gratitude for the specific steps your present self is taking now that pave the way, and offer guidance, wisdom, and encouragement on what to focus on next. This technique is powerful because it forces you into a completely different viewpoint and can activate very strong, motivating emotions and unlock insights you might not get otherwise. Doing this regularly, maybe once a week or once a month, can be incredibly clarifying and motivating.
I can see how that could generate a lot of clarity and motivation. What's another method? Maybe something more physical.
Good question. There's the mirror method. For this, you need a full-length mirror. You stand in front of it, take a few deep breaths, and really imagine your ideal future self looking back at you from the reflection.
Not just seeing them, but imagining them looking back.
Yes. And it's not just an older version of you. It's the person you aspire to become, maybe more confident, more capable, more joyful, more resilient, whatever qualities are important to you.
Okay. And then what?
And then you consciously embody that person right there in front of the mirror. How does that future self stand? What's their posture like? Straight and open, relaxed and grounded. What kind of smile do they have? Is it warm, confident, serene? What's the look in their eyes? Is it calm, determined, kind, focused?
You actually try to adopt their physical presence.
Yes. Engage your senses. Imagine their tone of voice if they were to speak. The source even suggests actively practicing their expressions, their stance, their way of moving subtly. The more you act as that future self in the present moment, the more real and achievable it can start to feel to your brain. You're literally giving your brain the physical experience of being that person.
That might feel a bit strange at first.
It might, like any new practice. But the source suggests trying it perhaps in the morning to set the tone for your day or in the evening for reflection. Over time, As you embody that future self more consistently, your brain can start to internalize it. This is me. I am this capable, hopeful person.
Okay, that's definitely a different approach. What about something more visual, less physical?
For visually oriented people, there's the digital vision board. This is essentially a modern, flexible take on the classic cut and paste vision boards. Use online tools, a simple document, presentation software, or even just features on your phone or tablet to create a digital collage.
What goes on it?
Images that represent your goals, your aspirations, experiences you want to have. But crucially, also include images that represent the kind of person you want to be. Maybe pictures of people embodying qualities you admire, or symbols of strength, peace, creativity, whatever resonates.
And the digital format makes it easy to manage.
Exactly. Gather high-quality images, inspiring quotes, maybe even links to short videos or visual stories. You can organize them by different life areas, career, health, relationships, etc., or maybe along a timeline. The key benefit is accessibility.
How so?
Make it your phone wallpaper, your computer background, save it somewhere you'll see it frequently. The source shared a personal anecdote about seeing their digital vision board every single time they open their laptop. That constant, gentle exposure keeps that future self and those aspirations right there, top of mind, providing ongoing, almost subconscious motivation and direction.
Much easier to update than glue and scissors.
Definitely more flexible. Now, for those who find it hard to guide themselves or prefer structure, there's guided future self meditation.
Like using an app or recording.
Precisely. Find a quiet, comfortable spot where you won't be disturbed. Choose a guided meditation specifically designed for visualizing your future self. Many apps like Insight Timer, Headspace, Calm have options, or you can find countless guided visualizations on platforms like YouTube or Spotify.
So you just relax and follow along.
Yes, it takes the pressure off having to structure the visualization yourself.
Right.
You simply listen to the guide's prompts, allowing them to lead you through the process of connecting with, imagining, and experiencing the feelings associated with your ideal future self. It's a great option for beginners or when your mind feels too busy to self-direct.
Okay, that sounds accessible. Is there one more main technique?
One more highlighted is the time machine journaling exercise. This uses the power of writing, specifically handwriting if possible, to engage in a kind of dialogue with your future self.
For a written conversation.
Exactly. The source suggests using a physical notebook, as the act of handwriting can engage different parts of the brain more deeply and foster reflection better than typing for many people. You literally write out questions from your present self to your future self, and then write the imagined responses from that future perspective.
What kind of questions?
Things like, what does a typical day look like for you now, future self? What major goals have you accomplished that you're proud of? What important skills did you learn along the way? How has your perspective on life or on specific challenge changed? What advice would you give me right now?
And you focus on the feelings, too.
Absolutely. Pay close attention to the emotions that arise as you're writing the future self's responses. Write those feelings down. They're awesome, powerful indicators of what truly matters to you and provide significant motivational energy. Get into the details of daily life. What's their morning routine like? How do they unwind after work? This exercise isn't about predicting the future perfectly. It's about gaining profound clarity on your values, your deepest aspirations, and the kind of life you genuinely want to build. Doing this regularly can help you track how your vision evolves.
Wow, these are all really different but powerful ways to make that future self feel less abstract, more real, more present, and ultimately more attainable. It feels like turning hope into something tangible.
That's exactly the goal, to make hope and the future self feel like real possibilities you are actively moving towards.
Now, trying these things, it might not always be easy. What are some common roadblocks people hit when they try visualization, and how can we navigate them?
That's a really important point. The sources acknowledge obstacles. One of the most common is simply the wandering mind. You sit down, ready to visualize your amazing future self, and suddenly you're mentally replaying a conversation from yesterday or planning dinner.
Happens all the time.
Totally normal. The key is not to get frustrated or think you're bad at it. Just gently notice that your mind has drifted, thinking about email, and then gently, without judgment, guide it back to your visualization. Think of it like training a puppy. You just keep patiently bringing it back.
Practice makes perfect, or at least better.
Practice makes it easier, definitely. Your focus muscle gets stronger over time. Also, making your visualizations really vivid, engaging multiple senses, and tapping into strong emotions helps anchor your attention more effectively.
Okay, gentle redirection. What's another common hurdle?
Skepticism. This is a big one for many people. Thoughts like, this feels silly, or how could just thinking about something actually do anything?
Yeah, the woo-woo factor.
Right. It helps to remember the science we discussed earlier. Visualization isn't magic, it's mental conditioning. It primes your brain's neural pathways, it shifts your focus towards opportunities, it activates problem-solving circuits, it builds motivation. It's a practical tool.
So focus on the mechanism, not magic.
Exactly. And the source suggests a great way to overcome skepticism. Start small. Don't try to visualize world peace on day one. Pick a small, specific, short-term goal. Maybe visualize yourself successfully navigating a difficult conversation you need to have next week, or acing a presentation you're preparing for.
Something concrete and close.
Yes. Pay attention to how the visualization affects your actual preparation, your confidence going in, and your performance during the event. Seeing those tangible, real-world effects, even on a small scale, starts to chip away at the skepticism and builds genuine belief in the process. Small wins build faith.
Seeing is believing, essentially.
Okay.
Wandering mind, skepticism. What else?
The final, and perhaps the biggest obstacle for most people, is consistency. Like any skill, these techniques aren't a one-time fix. You don't visualize your future self once and suddenly become them.
It requires regular practice.
It's absolutely essential for them to have a lasting effect. Regular, consistent practice integrates these patterns into your thinking. Even just 10 minutes a day, or maybe a longer dedicated session once a week, can make a huge difference over time. But it's so easy to let life get busy and push it aside.
So you really have to schedule it. Make it a non-negotiable appointment with yourself.
That's often what it takes. Treat it as a gift you're giving yourself, an investment in your future well-being. And honestly, once you get into a routine and start noticing the subtle shifts in your mindset, your motivation, your outlook, it can become quite enjoyable. It stops feeling like a chore and starts feeling like a valuable part of your self-care.
Okay, so the keys are: choose that stance of constructive hope. Use these powerful visualization tools regularly and consistently. Be patient with yourself. Gently redirect wandering thoughts. Start small to overcome skepticism, and schedule it in. That covers visualization really well. Are there other practical strategies for cultivating hope that go beyond just visualization?
Oh, absolutely. Visualization is powerful, but it's part of a larger toolkit. A fundamental strategy, mentioned across several sources, is breaking down those big, potentially overwhelming future goals into much smaller, more manageable, achievable steps.
Baby steps.
Exactly. When you set and then achieve these small goals, you build momentum. Each little success provides tangible evidence of your capability, proof that you can make progress, and that feeds directly back into your sense of hope and self-efficacy. Writing your goals down big and small also helps make them more concrete and activates your intention to pursue them.
Small wins really do create big belief over time.
They absolutely do. Another universally recommended practice is gratitude. Intentionally dedicating time each day, maybe through journaling or just quiet reflection, to notice and genuinely appreciate the good things you already have in your life, big or small.
How does gratitude connect to future hope?
It powerfully shifts your focus. Instead of dwelling on what's lacking, what's wrong, or what you're worried about, gratitude trains your brain to scan for the positive, the abundance, the things that are working. This creates a much more positive emotional baseline, a more fertile ground where hope can naturally take root and grow. It retunes your whole perspective.
That makes sense. What about connection?
Seeking support and building community is absolutely vital. Hope is hard to sustain in isolation. Connection combats loneliness and reinforces the feeling that you're not alone in your struggles or aspirations.
Like the SAM HSA dimensions.
Yes. The sources referenced SAMHA's 4 major dimensions supporting recovery and well-being: health, home, purpose, and community. Having that sense of belonging, knowing there are people who care and support you, is crucial for maintaining hope, especially through tough times. And remember, hope can be contagious.
How so?
Spending time with genuinely hopeful, positive, proactive people can be incredibly uplifting and inspiring. Their belief can rub off on you. And remember how others can support your hope. Often it's not about giving advice, but simply listening without judgment, validating your feelings, and maybe offering resources if you ask. That reinforces your own agency while providing connection.
Finding inspiration in stories of people who've overcome adversity also fits here, right? Seeing examples of hope in action.
Yes, those stories provide powerful proof of possibility. Another key area is prioritizing physical self-care. This is non-negotiable for sustainable hope.
Why is physical care so important for a mental state like hope?
Because your mind and body are intrinsically linked. Getting enough exercise, eating nutritious food, ensuring adequate sleep. These things profoundly impact your mood, your energy levels, your cognitive function, and your overall resilience. You simply need the physical and mental energy to pursue that future self you're envisioning. Neglecting your body undermines your capacity for hope.
It's the foundation for everything else.
It really is.
Yeah.
Engaging in acts of kindness is another strategy. Doing something kind for someone else, or even intentionally being kind to yourself, boosts your own sense of value, connection, and purpose. And those feelings directly support hope and well-being.
And what about just smiling more? That came up too.
It sounds almost too simple, doesn't it? But the research on facial feedback suggests that the physical act of smiling, even if you have to force it a little initially, can actually trigger physiological responses that reduce stress and subtly improve your mood. Plus, smiles are genuinely contagious and can create positive micro-interactions throughout your day, which collectively brighten your outlook and the outlook of those around you.
Little ripples of positivity.
Exactly. And don't forget to celebrate the small wins. Genuinely pause and acknowledge your progress, no matter how small it seems. Pat yourself on the back. This reinforces the positive actions and strengthens that feedback loop of effort, progress, and hope.
I also recall a point from one source, possibly referencing Stoic philosophy, about focusing intently on what you can actually control. How does that fit with hope for the future?
That's a really powerful perspective that complements hope beautifully. While hope is oriented towards a desired future outcome, which isn't entirely in our control, Stoicism reminds us that our true power lies in the present moment, specifically in controlling our character, our effort, and our perseverance.
So focus on the input, not just the outcome.
Precisely. By
Right.
focusing your energy primarily on what is within your sphere of direct control, your daily actions, how you choose to respond to challenges, your commitment to your values, the effort you put in, you build an incredibly strong foundation in the present. And that present foundation is what makes the envisioned future self possible.
How can you track that?
Using tools like maybe tracking your time spent on important tasks, or journaling about the effort you applied, regardless of the immediate result, can reinforce this focus on controllable input. Asking yourself powerful questions helps too, like, what would future me be doing right now? Or, what will tomorrow me think of the effort yesterday me put in? It creates a sense of accountability between your present actions and your aspirational self.
Holding your current self responsible for building that future self.
Exactly. And a huge part of focusing on what you can control is managing your internal state. That means actively noticing and addressing negative thought cycles or useless rumination. Redirecting your attention, grounding yourself in the present moment through mindfulness, or deliberately shifting your focus to the next small, controllable action you can take.
And in the context of recovery, that holistic approach is key again.
Absolutely. As we touched on earlier, hope in recovery isn't just about managing symptoms in isolation. It's about rebuilding a whole life. So, addressing practical needs, stable housing, social connection, finding meaningful activity, tending to physical health, all of this creates the necessary stable ground from which hope can genuinely flourish and be sustained. Connecting with peers who've walked a similar path provides that vital, tangible proof that a better future is achievable, along with practical guidance.
And cognitive techniques can help challenge hopelessness.
Yes, principles from cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT, are incredibly useful here for cultivating constructive hope. Techniques like positive reappraisal teach you to realistically reevaluate difficult situations, identifying aspects you can influence rather than feeling completely overwhelmed. Learning to tolerate uncertainty is also crucial. Life is inherently unpredictable, but you can build hope in your ability to adapt and cope, whatever comes.
Challenging negative predictions.
Exactly. Challenging those unhelpful automatic thought patterns like fortune-telling, this will never get better, I'll always fail, or minimization, my small efforts don't really matter, directly combats the hopelessness that arises from these cognitive distortions. CBT helps you focus your mental energy on what you can control, your thoughts, your interpretations, and your subsequent actions.
So ultimately, it's about viewing hope not as some naive denial of problems, but as a practical, active, resilient strategy, a means to navigate uncertainty and difficulty, allowing you to move forward with purpose and conviction, even when things are tough.
That sums it up perfectly.
Yeah.
It's a dynamic, ongoing practice, something you weave into the fabric of your daily life through conscious choice and consistent action.
This has been such a rich exploration, a real deep dive into understanding hope, embracing it, and most importantly, actively cultivating it for the future. Let's try and bring all these threads together now.
Okay, let's consolidate the key takeaways from this journey.
Okay, so let's quickly unpack everything we've explored today. We've really seen that looking forward, when done intentionally, is so much more than just passive desire or, a generally positive outlook.
Right. It's an active, deliberate stance, a powerful force that's fueled by hope.
And we've taken pains to define hope properly, not just as wishing, but as this dynamic mix of desire, belief, and possibility, setting those specific goals, and crucially, that element of taking concrete action towards making them happen.
And clearly distinguishing that from general optimism, hope is more targeted, more agentic, and ultimately more potent for driving change.
We then dove into the really tangible science, understanding how hope literally changes our brain chemistry, releasing those motivating, mood-boosting neurochemicals like dopamine and endorphins.
Priming our minds through visualization and mental rehearsal, building those pathways for success.
And how it effectively reduces stress by calming down the brain's fear centers and engaging the problem-solving parts instead.
Which, in turn, supports our physical health managing stress hormones, potentially boosting immunity, motivating healthy behaviors. The mind-body connection is undeniable.
We also explored how cultivating a clear sense of purpose acts as such a critical foundation for hope. It provides that central aim
That guides our actions, makes us more persistent in the face of difficulty, serves as a powerful buffer against stress, and significantly contributes to our overall resilience. Purpose gives hope, direction, and strength.
And the great news is, the journey to cultivating this act of hope, while personal, follows universal principles that are actionable for anyone. It starts, maybe counterintuitively, with finding that healthy balance.
Looking back with purpose, to gain insight and clarity from our past, and then using that foundation to look forward with a clear, compelling vision.
And then you actively build that hope. First, by defining not just what you want, but the person you want to become, your desired future self.
Right. And employing those powerful visualization techniques consistently, whether it's the success scenario, the letter from your future self, the mirror method, digital vision boards, guided meditation, or time machine journaling.
Using whichever method resonates to make that future feel real, tangible, and emotionally engaging. Remembering to be patient, overcome obstacles like wandering minds or skepticism through consistent practice.
And supplementing that visualization with concrete actions in the real world, setting those small, achievable goals to build momentum and self-belief.
Practicing gratitude daily to shift your perspective towards the positive.
Leaning on your community, building connections, seeking support when needed.
Prioritizing your physical self-care as the fundamental fuel for everything else.
Engaging in acts of kindness, celebrating your small wins, and consciously focusing your energy on what is truly within your control. Your character, your effort, your responses, perhaps guided by wisdom from approaches like Stoicism or CBT.
And ultimately, carrying the understanding that hope isn't something that just happens to you. It's not something you find or are passively given.
No, it's a choice you make, a skill you develop, a muscle you strengthen, a force you actively cultivate day by day through deliberate practice and consistent aligned action.
It really is about actively creating your path forward, isn't it? One hopeful, purposeful step at a time.
Beautifully put. So, considering everything we've discussed today, the profound potential, the science backing it up, the practical strategies available.
The final thought we want to leave you with is this. What amazing version of yourself will you start creating today?